We finished that section on page Lamed Aleph, and we have discussed quite conclusively, clearly, what is the oir, and what is the oir mislabish by keili, and what is the keili, and how the keili and the oir can be approximated, can be related, can be compared. All that was discussed. And we also discussed, okay, we'll start 2 lines from the end of that top section. The parentheses, I'm not going by there. I don't have the spirit to do that. So, aber be'etzem inyan hasagah, in essence, the inyan of hasagah shel ha'oir, the hasagah of the oir, even as the oir is bislapshos be'hakeili. Not the oil by itself, but the oil even the slapshot by keili, who that hasagah is k'moy hasagah b'shoshem keili, is identical to the hasagah of the way the oil is in shoshem keili, in its very source. The oil remains oil, no matter where it is, even though it is slapshot in the keili. As a result, when the slapshot in the keili, the certain elements that are revealed in the oil that is not there, that is not revealed there before, but that is only due to its relationship to the keili. It is not due to its own in orientation. We have explained quite extensively the difference between how oil is masik and how keili is masik. And therefore, the oil, even with its mislapshus in the keili, it remains oil. It does not become keili. Although there is the element that the oil is mislabish in the keili.
This is something, maybe I never heard it expressed before, but to say that the keili is masig, this seems to be...
we discussed it, we discussed it at great length. We showed the complete, how keili also has a message.
But it's a message that only gets expressed by virtue of the ore being dressed within it.
No.
In itself on its own.
Yeah. Yeah, it has a function.
Then why does the cup in the cabinet pour water?
The cup in the cabinet is ready for to be filled with water.
But does it pour water?
No, it doesn't have any. But it's ready for water. That's what it's standing in the cabinet for. Why is it kept in the cabinet?
Until it has water.
Why is it kept in the cabinet?
In order for the moment that it will.
That's it. So it is the same keili. It's a keili for water.
And without the water, there's no pouring. Until the water is masig is the pouring.
No. Masig is what is the keili stand for. You went to the store and you bought it. What did you buy it for?
The keili, until the water, the ore goes in. Can the keili masig anything?
Yes.
On its own, without
when
ore.
you go into a house and there is a table set with keili, what do you see? You come to a set table. What do you see?
What you see is the ore of the owner.
No. You see the oil of the keili. What is a keili about? A human being needs a keili. Right now, the keili is without the oil, but it's a keili. It's a keili for the oil. You would not put a rock on the table because it's an open space there. Why not?
You see a table set for human beings.
Fine, but that's this. Okay, so explain then the difference of the ore of the owner as it's found also in the attic. Explain the difference of that
We
ore.
discussed last night. Great length.
Okay, I only caught.
I'm telling you, this is what's frustrating to me.
I only
Last
caught.
night we just said it, mamish, to the T.
I only caught the Bush persecution.
Bush persecution, it was a valid persecution.
Okay.
And he got his answers.
Okay, that's the only. I came in late.
Okay, I'm saying this is what's frustrating. We want to have to make some certain principle rules. I can't go on learning, and that's at this degree of
Okay, I
of
forgot
depth.
that Thursday changed to Wednesday. I forgot this.
Huh?
I forgot Thursday changed to Wednesday.
Okay, okay. I'm saying honestly, I apologize. I feel so bad when I talk in such a way to my students. It's terrible, but I can't help it. All right, let's go back.
Okay, I'll
The
get
ads
it
that the
I'll get it from someone
okay,
else.
but okay,
I'll get it from someone else.
Okay, then you're going to miss the whole class. You set the tables. The reason you set the tables is because you're a human being. Not because you have to eat. You can eat without setting the tables. As a matter of fact, some people take the plate in their hands and walk around and they eat, and they're quite happy with it. The whole union of oil, oil has a source, a principal source. Oil is not the result of some functional requirement. Even as I don't know, I think that's sufficient, I can go. That's what oil, and that element follows the oil wherever it is. Wherever the oil is, it represents this essential truth. Although at that point it's mislabish in the keili, and it does acquire a functional effect. But that is not what the oil is about. So this is, the Rebbe is making this emphasis so clear. Okay, two lines. But in essence, even though the oil is mislabish in the keili, but that is only in the aspect of his lapshus, not a change in the oil itself. Be'etzem, inyan hasagah shel ha'oil. The principle of hasagah of the oil, hu k'mei hasagah b'shosher m'koil. It is just the same as it is in the sherush u'makir. In other words, why does the oil have hasagah? Not because it's in the keili, but because of the answer. Why does a human being drink from a keili? Not because that's the only way to drink, but because he's a human being. Although there is a functional service. But that's not what's taking place. As we said, a human being who's not sensitive to his human status, he can take the keili and walk away from the table and walk around and eat.
So he has the keili, but he has the no or. There would be no.
He doesn't have the oil slapshus bekeili. He doesn't have oil. He only has the keili, only has the practical thing.
So the hasagah of the or is always based on the essential truth.
Yeah, that's what he said. K'mei shehu be'etzem b'shoshri.
Even when it's in keili, does not lose that.
That's right. This is the meaning of oil. Oil is not the result of some practical situation. Oil emanates from a living soul. Therefore, the oil that is mislabish in the keili, relative to the oil itself, is quite distant. Because this mislabish in keili has a keili quality, whereas the oil itself, even the oil mislabish, doesn't have a keili quality. It's shoshim keili. He does not speak about convenience, he speaks about what is a human being. Okay, so let's do the last line. B'yinyan ein ared ha'keili legabe ha'oirhu. So the oil doesn't change, even when it's mislabish b'keili. But when we compare the keili legabe ha'oir, the principle there, the ein arech of the keili legabe ha'oir, is a completely different level of comparison. It is shebe'etzem, that in essence, I'm sorry, inyan hasagah v'chochmah keili, the whole principle of hasagah, of comprehension, and chochmah of the keili, is not in the same reality of the chochmah of the oil. The keili speaks about a completely different principle than what the oil speaks about. The keili can speak about convenience, comfort, ease of use, all kinds of different qualities, keili qualities. Is not at all in the mahus. It's not talking about the reality of the oil at all. It's talking about something completely different. I have to say it. I don't know. I'm talking to the wall. What's the hasagah of the keili? Hasagah of the keili. Where does the keili get hasagah from? So the expression you hear is inyan of the hasagah. In other words, what is the focus? What is the point? This is a very important principle to understand. As I said many times over, the human being is about sechel. In essence, even before he begins to function, he has what's called chochmah. He's essential. What is the principle of chochmah? What is the essence of the human being? So we've explained it many times in the past. The simplest and the most obvious one. You come to a wedding, and there's a meal. What is the point of you being at the wedding? That's a sechel. The sechel element is always focused on the nakuda. What is this about? Why are you there? And therefore it makes a tremendous difference whether you're an invited guest or you're just a visitor. Because in human life, nothing happens inadvertently. That's what about sechel is. If it's inadvertent, this is not sechel, this is not human. And when you're an uninvited guest at the wedding, there's no way you can participate in the wedding. If you're doing everything else, everything what everybody is doing, but you're not really participating. You're not really there with your sechel. Sechel is what gives the reality of the human being. This is where the terminology comes from, the hasagah sheha keili, the chochmah of the keili. And the chochmah, the keili has chochmah.
The point of the keili, the whole point of the keili?
The whole point of the keili. And it did not result from convenience, it resulted from a certain principle.
And why are we saying that principle is so different than the principle of what is that principle based on, that it is so different from the principle of the hasagah of the or?
Oh. The eating with a spoon itself is not a principle for itself. But it's a principle in itself because it facilitates the keili of the oil. How does it facilitate the keili of the oil? How does it facilitate the keili of the oil?
It's appropriate for
it. It allows the human being to eat without putting his face into the food, without losing his stature. The eating is exclusively on the level of eating. You don't take your whole head into it, your whole brain into it. This is the hasagah of the keili. And because of this hasagah of the keili, that's why the keili is a keili for the oil of the human being.
That hasagah of the keili would also seem to be connected to and based on the essential truth.
No.
It's not?
It is to allow the essential truth, but it itself does not have the essential truth. There is no essential in the nefesh. You have to eat with a spoon. If you want the nefesh to function in the goof, yes, you do. But this is not the nefesh element.
So ultimately, it's the mahus is the world, basically. It's a worldly mahus.
The mahus of the keili is keili. It's world. It's mitzias. The mahus of the oil is essence. Thus, the hasagah of the keili and the hasagah of the oil are not in the same mahus. They're not in the same reality.
Mm.
The reality of the keili makes it possible that this oil should function in the world.
It's interesting that the reality of the keili, it has to take into account, so to speak, the fact that it will be used by the etzem. It has to be a fitting keili, in other words. So there's sort of a similarity. There's a connection between.
The way you build the keili is focused entirely on the keili.
But the design of the keili is
The design of the keili is that you can do with the keili perfectly what the keili is designed for.
But the design of the keili takes into account the fact that a human being will be using it.
No. What is the design of the keili?
The design of the keili is how it can be held, if it's going to be in a proper shape, if it's going to be in a proper form.
That's it. And what does the shape and form do? That you can feed yourself.
We had yesterday that the cup, water is appropriate for the cup, not pebbles.
Right.
So this would seem to indicate that somehow this surah, this form, has or it's like within the same world, same reality, but not.
Why is water appropriate for the cup and not pebbles? A cup is not made for transportation. A cup is made for presentation. Presentation, you have buckets. Pair.
Transportation of a bucket.
Huh?
For transporting of a bucket.
For transportation, you use a bucket.
Mm-hmm.
A cup you use for presentation. Pebbles do not need to be presented. Presented, not presented, is insignificant.
Okay. But I guess the fact that the cup is for presentation, the way that you would ever think of that is because you're thinking that a person it's appropriate for a person to eat
Why?
because of what a person is.
Why is that? See, in this we have to distinguish between ease of use, convenience, and dignity.
You mean it does not originate with dignity? In other words,
whether or not it originates with dignity is insignificant in this point, because, yes, indeed, you would not pay attention of how do you present it if you didn't have the sense of dignity.
mm-hmm.
But what you are focused on is, how is this to be done? That's what a keili is. You learn how to write. Why? Because you want to learn how to write? Or you want to be able to present a thought?
You want to be able to present a thought. But you have
But to learn how to write, you have to learn how to write.
And when you're learning how to write, you're not having that in mind. You're having just the physical, the worldly
That's
thing in
right.
mind.
To write, you should be legible, and you should be able to express a thought properly. This is all part of writing, but not the thought.
You don't hire a philosopher to build your cups, to make your tables. You hire someone who knows how to work with tools and whatever, not a philosopher.
This is the principle of oil mislapshus in the keili. The oil is sholei bi'erech to the keili. But what we want is to bring this oil into the world. And for that you need keili. You have to bring some to the oil. That's why the oil goes through its tzimtzum before it's mislapshus in the keili.
Really, a keili is a surah. It's the form that is by which it's left being chochmah, just plain material. So, but yet it still remains shelo be'erech. It's still without compare. On the other hand, it seems to have left the geder of just physicality and entered into the human realm, entered into the realm of light. But no, it's not. It hasn't really.
It is the oil at the physical level. It's not plain physicality, but it is within the physical realm.
And that's a different matter.
Well, that's a different level. To the point where it can be misunderstood. Like you said many times, a car has a human thing, it's a transportation. No, but a car is a good thing to go racing around circles. That's where it loses completely its human oil.
It would seem like there's so different worlds. How is it possible for the oil to be mislavish in the keili?
How is it possible that a goof should come to life? Mafilasa. The real answer to that is that it is the beetle that the keili has to the oil.
That's not something that's part of the making of the keili. That's something inherent in the physical. Where does that come from?
Okay. This comes from the fact that it is the oil that conceptualizes the keili in the first place.
That's
Just like in breathing, what makes you breathe? The fact that there is air.
you said
Not you need
it's the,
for it.
it's the ore that conceptualizes the keili in the first place. Is that what
Right.
you're saying? That's like the design. That's like the.
No.
no.
It is the oil that gives the keili the will to be a keili. All right, that's it.
I wanted to ask you two things. Maybe you touched on it right now. That keili is derived from ore. That's what I thought we learned this once. That the keili comes from ore itself. And also, I wanted to ask you a question that we once learned not too long ago, maybe a long time ago, but not too many pages ago, that the keili, the neshama as it spreads out, has a makif ore that it gives to every keili. Every part of it, every limb of the body is a makif ore that's given to it, appropriate for itself. If that's true, it would show how the finally that the ore is able to and fits with that keili. Did I recall that correctly?
When the oil fits in that keili, what happens? Does it lose its oil quality?
When the ore fits?
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, as was spoken about here, it's oriented to chochmah. But I'm looking at the keili and saying, why is that so? Why it's so? Because the keili itself came from the ore.
Because the keili is bottled to the oil. And the reason the keili is bottled to the oil is because the keili, to begin with, is conceptualized to serve the oil. But then it becomes a real mitzias. This is the difference between conceptualized and then beetle. Beetle means that it is a mitzias, but it's bottled.
What was the last?
It is a mitzias, but it's bottled.
So
the car stands in the garage.
Bottle already implies an ore quality.
No, bottle means that it is dedicated. It does not have its own will.
How could it